Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a quick look at the revised 40 format of Magic, one of the lesser known ways to play. It is one of the best ways to play with old school cards on the cheap though, so we're going to be looking at some questions like, is it cheap to play? Can you have fun playing this format? And why would you want to play a format with only bad cards? The easy answers are yes, yes, and not all revised cards are terrible. So let's get into it. The deck construction in Revised 40 is a bit different from normal constructed formats. The big difference is in the name, of course. You are only allowed to play with 40 cards instead of 60. And you have a limit on the rarities of the cards that you can put into your deck. So the limits are you are allowed 5 rares in your deck, 10 uncommons, and as many commons as you want. Now these are of course the maximum. You don't have to play with 5 rares and 10 uncommons. You could play with all commons if you want, but those are the limitations on the number of cards you can play. Now another big difference from normal constructed formats, the typical 4 copies of a given card is a bit different here. So in Revised 40, you are allowed 3 copies of the same card for your rares and uncommons, and there is no limit to the amount of copies of a common that you can play. So that means if you want to play with 10 copies of Curdape in your 40 card deck, you go for it. Now there is a small restricted list of cards that are just too powerful to be played in multiples. That list includes Balance, Brain Geyser, Channel, Demonic Tutor, Mind Twist, Regrowth, Soul Ring, and Wheel of Fortune. And this restricted list is pretty similar to the one that is used in the old school 93-94 format, just for the reasons that these cards are far too powerful to be played in many copies. There's one additional rule that you might have thought of already. Lightning Bolt was actually a common in Revised, and that has been upgraded to uncommon, so you can't just put 25 Lightning Bolts and 15 Mountains in your deck and call it a day. Also, this format is not played for ante, so don't put any ante cards in your deck. So of course this is a 40 card format, as it's called Revised 40, and one other big difference is that there is no sideboard in Revised 40. The reason for this is that there are a lot of color hosers in Revised, cards like Gloom or Flash Fires that just make it unfun for people playing certain colors to actually play the game, so that's why there's no sideboard. So let's take a look at building your first deck. Now I know what you're thinking. The revised dual lands are really expensive. But don't you need tropical islands, volcanic islands, and underground seas to play this format and be successful? And the answer is no, no, and no. Remember, you are limited to 5 rares in your deck. That's not a lot of rares in a 40 card deck, and you don't want to be wasting those slots on lands. You want to be using your rare slots for big game finishers like Shivan Dragon, Royal Assassin, Balance, Brain Geyser, Jayemdae Tome, and all the other rares that you remember from Revised. Now that you know how to build a deck, I know everyone's going to want to sweep up their dual lands into a big pile, throw them into the nearest trash can, take their box of Revised Commons and dump it all over the table, pick out your favorite lands and build a deck, but let's learn a little bit more about this format first. So let's go over some rules changes for when you're playing a game of Revised 40. The rules are not all the same as a standard game of Magic, so let's go over those changes. The first big change is that mana burn still happens. And I'm sure all of you remember what mana burn is. I'm just kidding, I didn't remember what mana burn was. Mana burn means that if you have any unused mana left over in your mana pool, when the phase changes, you will lose a life for each mana you lose this way. So to give an example, if you use a Soul Ring to pay for a 1 mana spell, and you have 1 mana left over, if you have no way to spend that mana, you're going to take a damage for it. Other rules are pretty much the same. So you use the normal mulligan rules and the normal oracle text for the cards. So some revised cards have some very outdated and confusing text. Looking at you, PowerSync. So just use the oracle text for these. Huh. Wonder what other kind of weird rules people used to have to deal with. Oh, banding. Phasing. Batches! So how do you get started? Well, the first thing you can do is just pick 1 or 2 of your favorite colors and have fun. And start with your 10 uncommons. Uncommons can a lot of times make or break the deck. You have cards like Swords to Plowshares, Counterspell, Lightning Bolt since it's been upshifted to uncommon, things like Hypnotic Spectre. So you really are having the core of your deck at uncommon, I think. So find 10 uncommons that you think are good for your deck and build from there. If you're looking for inspiration, check out the Revised 40 Facebook page, which is where a lot of online games are played. The link for that will be in the description. So that was the brief overview for the Revised 40 format for Magic, one of the best ways to play old school Magic on a budget. If there was something that I left out, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. And if you do want to see some gameplay of Revised 40 to maybe take some inspiration from, I'll have a playlist created for games of Revised 40 in my channel. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.